Hello guys, welcome back to the Beastie Room. Now today we are going to rehouse a Brachypelma. Now as you know, I used to keep quite a few Brachypelmas, and then I sort of like moved a lot of them on to make space for some of the Asian stuff that I really like. And but I have actually kept a few back, and it's time that we started rehousing some of those spiders. So I thought we would crack on today with one which is pretty much at the pinnacle of everybody who likes their Brachypelmas, and that is of course the Brachypelma auratum, or the flame knee. And that is probably one of the most sought after of the Brachypelmas. They really are a stunning spider. So what we're going to do, we're going to set up this 30 by 30 by 30 Komodo. This is more than enough. This makes an ideal size for a nice display enclosure. It also gives them plenty of room. They don't need any more than this. They will literally sustain in one of these absolutely perfectly. Now I've got a few bits and pieces here. So my one, that she's in this rub here at the moment, and she's been in there for some time. And when I had her in an enclosure before, she always sits outside. So I'm not overly worried about a hide as such. Although we will offer something for her, something that she can get into if needs be. And another thing that we're going to try today is I have got this stuff here. Now I've been down to my local forest, and I was collecting some moss and bits and pieces, and I saw this substrate and I was like, this is really nice. This has got bits of, well, as you can see, it's actually quite a lot of sand in this. It's quite sandy soil. There's bits of mulch and bits of stuff. There's all sorts of rubbish in there really.
Looks like clay and concrete.
Yeah, and it's very dusty. Look at that. It is quite dusty stuff. But that is not going to affect our spider. She is going to be fine in there. So I thought this would make a really quite a nice substrate. So we're going to give it a try, and we're going to see how it works, because like most things, if we don't give it a go, we'll never know. So we are literally going to pour that in there. I think I'm just going to use the lot, to be fair. We'll just use the lot. And all we're going to do, I thought this will actually give quite a naturalistic look. That's what I was hoping for. Now these guys come from Mexico, and it's pretty dry there the majority of the time. So I'm hoping that this is going to work out quite well. Now, as I said, this particular individual does tend to sit out all the time, so I'm not really expecting it to make much use of this hide as such. Now we've got a plant here as well. I did get some stone. I've got this dragon rock. This is stuff that we had in an old aquarium that we had running, and it really does look awesome. It's lovely stuff. So we're going to put a bit of that in here just to see what we got. I'm tempted to leave the plant in the pot, if we can get away with that. That dragon stone is absolutely lovely. Do you know what? I'm going to take it out of the pot. The pot don't fit really. It's going to look better. Now what we can do here, we're going to leave that in there like so. I think that'll be okay. Move this over here. We've got going to use quite a substantial water dish for this, because these guys do have a habit of carting stuff about. So I'm hoping that if we stick a little bit bigger water dish in there, it might just stop her from dragging it around. How's that looking? That's not looking too shabby, is it? I think we'll pretty much leave it there. Perhaps. Get that. That's it. I think we'll leave it like that, to be fair. That'll look quite nice. So what we're looking at here, these are a terrestrial spider, which means that they live and spend all their time on the floor. They don't, saying that, they will climb the glass, and there is on occasion the odd spider that spends a lot of time climbing and roaming around. I do sometimes wonder when that happens as to whether that particular spider is particularly happy or not. So sometimes if it's constantly on the move, it probably pays to change its setup just a little bit and see whether that gets that spider to settle down. Now, this is a dry species, but that being said, they do like to have a humidity of around about 50 to 60%, which isn't very high. They do prefer it dry. So what we can do to gain that a little bit, we can water our plant here, or we can overfill our water dish just a little bit. We don't need a lot. These plants don't need a huge amount of water. So literally that will be more than enough to keep that going. And if we do that probably once a week or so, depending on how much our plant likes it, that will be enough, and that will give us that humidity that we require. So they do prefer it a little bit on the dry side. So I think this will be quite nice. Hopefully it'll make a nice display that our spider will sit out and be out and about the majority of the time. I say this one, she does tend to stay out. So what we'll do now, we will get her out and we'll put her on a bit of wood like this, just so that we could, it makes it easier for us to move her around. She's been with us some time, this spider, a good few years now.
She's so beautiful.
And she is absolutely stunning. Now these guys are what you class as a docile spider. They are docile, but as you know here, we take no chances. This spider is just as likely to bite you as anything else if it so feels that way. They also kick urticating hairs, which is what she's doing now. So we're just going to ask her very gently to move into there, and then we're going to put her on our piece of wood. Hopefully she'll sit there like that, and we can get some really nice close-ups of this absolutely beautiful spider. So this is an adult female. We just get her to move. We just want her to walk a little bit. That's it, open up.
Get her to face me.
Well, we can give that a try. There we go. So as you can see there, they get their name from the flame knee, and that's from this like red orange on the knees here. Absolutely gorgeous. And as you can see there, she has got a really nice abdomen. Now, although she kicked a little bit of hair there, she does not get hassled in any way. So she's got a really, really nice abdomen. Quite often you'll see with Brachypelmas in the hobby, or ones that you pick up, quite often they've got bald bums. And this is where they are stressed out, where they're constantly defending themselves by kicking up them urticating hairs. Right, so now, although it's a Brachypelma, they still are capable of moving very quickly, and they can run really fast. So we have to be careful. You notice how she's holding herself up. Look at that. Absolutely amazing.
A bit light now, but she's moved over.
Try a bit of light, see if that accentuates. Look at that.
Gorgeous.
Isn't she beautiful? You see the red setae on the abdomen there. Got that creamy line around the carapace. These really are one of the stars of the Brachypelma genus. They really are absolutely awesome. That jet black in the lower part of the legs. Also on the carapace as well. The fangs, jet black, almost like velvet. So in terms of care, these guys are really, really easy, as are all of the brackies. They do make ideal beginner spiders because of this, and the fact that they are so simple to care for. They're very, very long lived as well. There's been accounts of these guys running up into the mid-20s and higher. So, you know, if you get one of these, you could end up with it for a long, long time. In terms of temperature, we're looking at keeping these around about 70 upwards. 70 right up into the 80s. These will tolerate much higher temperatures as well. And we often find here that if there's an extra heat source, these guys will gravitate towards it. So we see our spiders are actually quite active here, especially when we get hot spells and our room goes up in temperature. If we allow us, like we have at the moment where we got no aircon, our room fluctuates in heat. When we have it up at 90 plus, these guys are really out and about. They love the warmth. Now that being said, if you're going to have high temperatures for your spiders, they need to be able to get away from it as well. So it's very, very important. Although they can tolerate massive differences in temperature from very cool right the way through to really, really warm, they still need to be able to escape it if needs be. And this is one of the most important things. It always seems to be a little bit dodgy with information when we see it on the internet, and it gives you parameters for heat. Remember, it doesn't matter how cool or hot, they are going to be spots within your enclosure that your spider is going to be happy. It must always be able to retreat from heat. If you can retreat from heat, you'll find it will be fine. And this is where sometimes we notice with our Balfouri, they're really strong actually. If we push a heater, even when our room is sitting at 80 degrees, if we put a heater up and put it on full and quite close up to our enclosures, all of our balfs will come out and they will hang on the front glass, trying to get that extra heat. These guys will do the same, you know, but the difference is they can always move away and cool down again as such. You know, they can go to a cooler temperature. They don't actually physically cool down, but they can move away from that heat, and that is the most important thing within the husbandry of our spider keeping, is giving our spiders room to be able to acclimatise and go whichever they want.
Get your picky?
I've got pickies of this one.
Of course.
I've got some very, very nice pickies of this one.
You don't need to interrupt us. I'm coming back in then.
I will take one pickie because they just are so pretty. I might just need to move this stuff.
Why don't you come this side instead?
I might do.
Alright.
I will do. As you can see, she's very, very easy going. That's a nice picture. So these do make ideal subjects for the beginner. And you really won't go far wrong. If you are a beginner and you're looking at getting your first spiders, I would always suggest that you get something that is pretty much a juvenile upwards. You know, very tiny slings can be delicate. Even with these guys, they can be delicate. So if you get a juvie, something that is probably half an inch to an inch in size, you will have a much easier time of it, and stand a far better chance of success. So bear in mind, if you are an absolute beginner, get something that is a little bit grown on, and that's taken away all the danger aspects and things like that. Now, in terms of food, one of the things that we find with the Brachypelmas is there's often complaints about the fact that they don't eat regularly. Yeah. So to avoid that situation, you need to feed to a point where you're not overdoing it. So how we do it here in the beastie room, we will give these smaller meals. So she will take a large cricket, or maybe even a red runner, adult red runner, and that is absolutely perfect. And if you fed that every sort of 10 days, maybe 15 days, she will be absolutely fine, and they will normally feed all the way through. The other reason that they go off their food, apart from being overfed, if they get overfed, they will stop feeding themselves. And then sometimes they can literally go on hunger strike for months upon months at a time. Their metabolism is very, very slow. So once they get overfed, it takes a long time for them to use up them resources. And this is why they don't feed for months at a time. That is not a good stage to be in. We don't want to be in that position. So if we feed smaller items and do them less frequently, we can maintain a lovely abdomen like this one here. The other thing that will affect how your Brachypelma feeds is actual temperature. And that is because most people will put these on a bookcase in their room or whatever with no other form of heat apart from what is in the actual room. And as you know, our rooms in our houses are fluctuating up and down all the time. You know, if you're out at work all day long, your room will be quite cool. When you come home and we've got extra bodies moving around, you know, we've got the cooking going on in the kitchen, all these things, the temperature within the core of our house goes up. So our spider is up and down all over the place. So one of the problems that they're going off their food, or they take an awful long time to molt, is because they are not warm enough. You know, we keep all of ours on that warmer side, and we don't have any problems with feeding or molting or anything. You know, it's all about understanding their requirements. And in the wild, these guys are coming in from Mexico. It's not exactly classed as a cold country, is it? It's a warm country. And it has fairly stable temperatures. Although the nights can be a bit on the cold side, they have very warm days, and that is what keeps the metabolism on these ticking over to where they need to be. So just bear that in mind. Don't be tempted to overfeed, and keep them at a nice warm temperature. Right, so let's pop her in. So what we're going to do, as we said before, these are docile, but I don't see the point in physically handling these spiders. We could easily just pick her up, let her walk on my hand and put her in there. And that might work well for 100 times. And then one day we might just go to do it and she might try and bite. In which case I am probably going to flick her onto the floor or whatever, and then I've lost my spider. So we don't take any chances. So we always go with a catch cup. It's always the safest bet. And then what we're going to do now is we are going to go sideways with this. So we're going to put a catch cup on there like that. And with the lid, we can guide her. We always start with closing the front end first. So whichever way she is facing, we close that door first. You see the angle of the cup and the lid. So we literally just touch her very gently. There you go. We're bringing it in. See, she's walked in there. Nice and gentle. And then all we do, we just hold that there just in case. We don't want her falling out. And then we can pop her in. Once we get her back legs down, 9 times out of 10 we can manoeuvre her. There we go. So she is in, no hair kicking, nice and gentle, and we took no chances there, no risk. So what we're going to do, we're going to get her to move around to the front so you get to see her again.
This is actually quite a non-reflective side here.
Ah.
You get her to walk to the water bowl.
Get her to sort of like face you.
Perfect.
There you go. So I think she actually pops on that substrate. That looks really, really nice. We'll see how she goes. If we find that it's not really working, then we'll just rip it out and start again. We'll give her something else. But I think she looks really, really quite smart on that as it is. I'm quite pleased with that. So then, that is our Brachypelma auratum, the Mexican flame knee. And I think you'll agree, you can see why this is one of them spiders that is at top of the list.
Is it flame or fire, or does it matter?
Flame knee. Don't complicate matters.
Okay.
It's a flame knee. Right then. Well, I hope you enjoyed that and you found a few tips in there for keeping your Brachypelmas. I do honestly, and this is only my opinion, but I do honestly think that the vast majority of Brachypelmas, Anaphipelmas, all of those, all your desert species are often kept a little bit too cool in the average household. So I think unless you could, like us, we've got a designated room where we can keep our temperature high. If you're inside, then you need to look at some kind of external heat source that you can give your spider, just to give it that little boost, and you'll save a lot of problems with feeding and molting and all sorts like that. So yeah, they do need a little bit more in my opinion. Right then, well I hope you enjoyed that. What a wonderful spider, and don't forget, be calm, be gentle, and love your spider. And I'll see you all soon, guys.